Make a scene, using theater to explore indigenous creation stories. In this unit, teachers will learn arts integration theater strategies, and students will use imagination and key details to create short scenes based on the creation stories of Louisiana's indigenous people. Students will learn to propose potential choices characters could make in a guided drama experience and explore body awareness and control. They will also explain ideas, events, and developments in the history of the United States of America from 1791 to 1877, analyze the growth and development of the United States from the early to mid-1800s, and analyze the causes and effects of Indian removal policies of the early to mid-1800s. Make a Scene is a digital literacy lesson in young audiences of Louisiana's history education through Arts Responsive Training Initiative known as HEART. Students will learn to evaluate sources, identify the flow of digital information, and understand they are producers of information. The HEART initiative has 3 pillars, or areas of historical study, and this lesson will focus on the indigenous peoples of Louisiana pillar.
So what are you guys learning right now?
About indigenous peoples and how they were created based on their own cultures.
Okay, good job.
In this lesson, we're going to be looking at indigenous creation stories that connect them to their ancestral homelands.
And I'll come in and incorporate the theater component where the students will work as a group creating a script, and they will do their final performance on the 6th day.
When it comes to theater, there is the physical location, and then there is the dramatic art form. So we're gonna focus on the dramatic art form.
On the first day, I start with explaining what theater is and how we're gonna incorporate it in the lesson. Then I delve into some exercises to help them loosen up and to work on focusing, recall, response, and working as a group.
When we pass this ball around a circle, you're going to say your name, and you're also, when you throw the ball up, you're going to what? Clap. Okay.
Eva. Janai.
Zoe.
Lucy. Angel.
And I also do some tongue twisters. You know, it's always fun for them to hear these different things. They think it's a game, but it's actually for them to be able to loosen up and to project and enunciate their words.
Betty bought a bustle butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter.
Hey, okay.
Personally, that's my favorite warm-up.
Really?
Yeah.
Then we move on to like vocal variations, and that's where I give them different lines with different emotions. So if I don't see you, I can understand how you're feeling just based on your voice.
Give it to me excited.
I think I love it here.
I really don't care.
Good job, okay.
And then after that, we break off to get into the lesson.
We've talked a decent amount about indigenous peoples and the fact that they were displaced from the land. What's something that we were talking about in class recently that shows us an example of displacement? Janaya?
You talk about like manifest destiny.
Manifest destiny, absolutely. So as we're talking about nations that were forced out of their lands, we can then segue into looking at their creation stories. Students have an opportunity to look through these different nations, including but not limited to the Caddo, the Choctaw, and the Homa nations. You guys are going to be choosing an indigenous nation, and you and your group are going to create a scene reenacting these creation stories. As they look through, they are filling out a graphic organizer where they're summarizing creation stories, identifying key characters, explaining how this shows connection to the land, as well as showing a connection between an image and the words, so they're able to start visualizing our scenes.
Now we're going to tie in the theater element. So each one of you will fill out these sheets based on the character that you chose within the story, because everything that makes up who you are makes you decide what you're going to do, right?
So when we're walking around with the different groups, we're focusing on them creating their character in more depth and going step by step. So what are you doing? How does that look?
It could be like he's trying to say, even though I'm small, I'm confident because he volunteered.
Okay, so even though he's small, it doesn't mean that he has to carry himself like he's small. Obviously, he saves the day at the end of the story. So he can still be confident. So how are you going to convey that, being small and confident? It's something to think about as you think about creating your character. It's always fun seeing the kids develop not just their characters, but their group's characters as well. In the story with the muskrat and the sky woman, Eva, who was playing the sky woman, starts talking to Olivia and she's like, well, a muskrat looks like this, they're kind of small, but your muskrat isn't small, they're really brave. And so they're discussing all of this with each other. And it's really fun. It's one of my favorite things. I love having the kids work in groups, especially in creative projects like this.
Okay, so now we're gonna work on creating our scripts. This is where you're going to show us and not tell us. So I want you to look at the board for the key terms. When they start screenwriting, I give them a couple words to focus on and keep in mind. The character, the objective, always keep in mind, what's your objective? What do you want us to get from what you're giving us? Also the levels, so we can understand who your character is, what is their authority, are they weak, are they strong, and dialogue. Who can tell me what dialogue is?
Like what a person says or does.
Okay, so I want you to keep in mind, what are you saying? Is it true to that time? Okay, so let's get to working on these scripts.
Challenges come the same as there are with any group work activity. There's sometimes going to be a student who maybe is a little bit more apprehensive, especially about something with a performance aspect. And those groups need a little bit more one-on-one attention. Fortunately, there were always groups running themselves. They were getting everything written. They were keeping time themselves. So that lends itself to us being able to work with these other groups.
Because you look back and the cave is closed. How are you guys going to react to that?
So once the script is written and everybody have an idea of what they're doing, we give them a day to rehearse before they perform. And it's a joyous thing to watch because they're so excited. And you know they're gonna be nervous when they get in front of the class to perform it, but just to see them giving their all and it's their creation, their words, it's a lovely thing.
When we do it, I'll be like, oh wow, I should be chief. Yeah, no, I should be chief. Who you mean, hat holder?
Performance day is always fun. The kids come in and they get either real quiet or real antsy because they are nervous. But as they get up there, they kind of fall into themselves a little bit more. And as they do that, their performances come out incredible. Great displays of creativity and really teamwork at the end of it. But then they sit back down and they're all kind of like giggly. And then the next group goes up and they all show each other the same respect they've been shown.
I'll make my own tribe called the Chickasaws.
Fine, and my tribe will be called the Choctaw.
I taught this lesson last year without theater aspect and then this year with theater aspect. And there was a significant difference because they're not just reading it. They're not just filling out a multiple choice question. They actually have to get up there and move their body through the motions. They have to create something that they feel is meaningful. And it's really helped with their retention of key concepts. And it's really fun to get to see the kids thrive in a different way.